I'm going to stand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have everyone come on in, please? Please have a seat. James Dowling, how are you? I'm engaged to present this. Yes, exactly. Oh yeah. I'm getting married on November 2nd. And the wedding's in Los Angeles, December 8th. You're all invited. Let's go. Where's the queue? It's going to come up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I think I can speak on behalf of the entire room that we believe the Siddiqui family to be the greatest builders of watch culture in the world. Yeah. And I happen to be on the jury of the GPHG in 2021 when they won a special jury award. If I'm not mistaken, Hin, you got a phone call from your dad, and he told you, what did he tell you?
He said, you get on a flight, come. I can't tell you why, but prepare a speech, which you're probably going to need.
Incredible.
I was like, what?
Incidentally, you killed your speech. It was absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
So I just want to give a shout out to Hin Siddiqui, to the incredible team of Dubai Watch Week, which includes Shruti, Anne, Sugam, Christoph. Everyone, you guys absolutely rock. What I also love... Yes! What I also love is you have gone truly international with Horology forums. Right? You've done London 2018, the virtual one in 2020 because I believe there was a certain thing going on and we had to go virtual. 2022, you went to New York. In 2024, we're here in beautiful Hong Kong. But you know, Dubai Watch Week has been interesting to me because it's primarily been consumer facing. And Hin, I know for you, you were like, I wonder if we can positively impact the industry in some way as well. You know, and I was thinking about something around the same lines, and we kind of arrived at the same conclusion at the same time, which was, what if we were to create a competition to help discover the next generation of talent in the field of watch design? I mean, if you can imagine, how cool would that be?
Amazing. That would be, I mean, it's one of our mandates, like I said this morning. It's something that we want. We always seek innovation. We want to be, you know, the hub for new watchmakers, and that's okay, and incubate them.
You okay? I'll sit down.
You know, so it's one of our objectives, and we want to open it up to a broader audience, and not only watchmakers.
But anyone.
Anyone.
So, okay, that's really interesting to me. So why do you think it's important? I mean, sometimes, do you imagine sometimes that the watch industry can be a kind of an echo chamber of its own ideas? Why was it important for you to open it up to people from outside of the industry?
Because we've seen great success stories when, you know, jewelry designers and watchmakers collaborate, like with the MBNF and Boucheron watch, for example, you know, and something really amazing comes out of it. So can you imagine people from different industries with the creatives, you know, with different perspectives? I can imagine, like, I would love to invite that paper cutting artist who created the wrist check display, you know, and invite her and say, you know, why don't you come and design one? I bet you she's going to come up with amazing ideas. We've always, you know, seeked people who have crafts, you know, like we had Amedeo, the cameo maker last year. We had Kara, the typewriter designer. So there are people with great creative minds that I think if asked to design a watch, they'd come up with something amazing that maybe a regular watch designer wouldn't think of.
That's amazing. But Hin, I remember early on you said, but we should not exclude anyone. It could be even a veteran of the watch industry,
Definitely.
or it could be someone completely unknown. Why?
Or they can even collaborate, because they could be a group of people. So it could be a watch veteran and maybe, I don't know, a shoe designer.
Fantastic. So you
You
could
know,
have a collective.
they can collaborate, but they can join as a one entry.
That's amazing. So that means that anywhere around the world, whatever city you're in on this planet, maybe there's someone right now dreaming of a watch, sketching it on a pad, working on their computer, to doing something. This watch could become a reality. Is that correct?
Exactly. Maybe you and I can design something together.
I love that. Okay. So, let me ask you this. What will be the criteria for judging, like, the finalists for this?
Of course, the story and the brand. There should be innovation, you know, a business plan, because we want to launch this watch and we want the people to see the watch. I think I don't want to forget.
Correct? Yes, you're right. Yes,
And design, obviously.
that's amazing. So, okay, so the important thing to understand is that this watch will be made a reality,
Yes.
right? And I think that that's the extraordinary thing. So even people in this audience, I'm pretty sure there's, like Austin is already thinking what he wants to design. James,
I can-
yes,
yeah.
probably, right? I'm sure they're all thinking about what they want to design. The cool thing about this is we will select finalists.
Mm-hmm.
From there, we will select one winner. And I think you have an event, if I'm not mistaken, next year. It's a small event for independent
Yeah, very
brands.
small event in
Yeah.
a brand new venue.
In a brand new venue in Dubai Mall. And is it potentially, we may even see the watch materialized in
Yes, that's what we want. We would love to launch the winning watch. The actual watch will create in Dubai Watch Week 2025.
That's incredible. Okay, wow. Okay, but the thing is, we start to think about like, we should maybe do this not just over 1 year, but over a couple of years, right? So I think we're going to do it over 5 years. So tell us the category for next year.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Shaped watches.
Okay. So the criteria for next year will be a focus on shaped watches, just for those of you who are interested
It's
in
fun.
participating. I see Carson writing that down, shaped watches. But the interesting thing was, when we started talking about this early in the year, we're like, we should do a test pilot year. We should go find a design we love and let's make that watch a reality so we understand what this whole process is like. But I know that there was a category that you liked a lot called the World Timer. Tell me why the World Timer.
Why not?
You're absolutely
Why
right.
not a world timer, And it's interesting to see how someone can come up with a design on the world time and not just the classic design that everybody, usually sees. And I think we're going to show them what we came up with this time. Not us, but I mean the designer came up with.
And as a happy coincidence, the city that every one of the Horology forums has been in, New York, Dubai, Hong Kong, yes, they all appear on the World Time City Disc. So we can think of no better complication than to kick things off with. So with no further ado, may I invite to the stage Justin Walters and Jérôme Biard. Hey, Sarah.
How's it going?
JB! Brother, good to see you. So without further ado, this is your watch, Justin. But first, who are you?
My name's Justin Walters. I live in New Mexico, Santa Fe. If anyone has been to Santa Fe, New Mexico, it's dry. It's not humid like this. Went to design school in Iowa, little college called Lamoni, or in a little town called Lamoni University at Graceland. A lot of people think it's in Tennessee, or Nashville. It's not. But I started in ceramics. I wanted to be a ceramics artist, and I failed my major because I was really stubborn in school. And the teacher wanted me to make like 103 different types of pottery, and I was like, no, I could make stuff that was about that big, and I wanted to sell stuff, and so he failed me because I didn't make it. Needed to find a new route to graduate college. My parents were pretty upset when I failed my major class. So I went into design. I grew up skateboarding, so I'm wearing my Vans. Skateboarding was always a passion for me, and so I used that energy to design skateboards. And so I designed for like Girl, Chocolate, 4-Star, did a couple things for Sean Malto, he's my favorite skateboarder. And I can't remember the exact day or what happened, but I got a hold of like some watches that I bought from Target, and one of our projects in school was to create a show for like a fake company that you made. And so I took these cheap watches and just printed my own dials and made my own logos and just stuck them on the watch. And I think that was the catalyst of, getting into the watches. But then there was another watch that got me into thinking about design and like the bigger watch world, because I didn't really know any brands. I didn't know much about watchmaking. I knew more about design and skateboarding. I was obsessed. And that was the Longines Comet. And it was just an amazing watch to me. Just how it worked. It used discs instead of hands, and I was like, okay, let me do some research into this. Let me try and design my own kind of version. So that's kind of how it started.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And you know, through conversation with you, we discovered you're also a huge fan of industrial design and also American architecture as well.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is the slide. I remember Hin and I, when we saw it, we were like, this is really interesting, right? Because you've designed essentially a world time watch that has no hands. It uses a series of concentric discs, kind of like the ripples of a pond echoing outwards, or op art if you're into American art as well. But for you also, there was two interesting perspectives that motivated you. One was looking down from the top of the staircase of the Guggenheim Museum, right, where you see these expanding circles. And another was standing underneath the atrium of the Norman Foster Design Apple campus. Tell me about that, man.
So the Guggenheim building is interesting because I think it plays into my design quite well. If you've ever been to the Guggenheim, it's in New York. It's situated between Central Park, and it's like tucked away in normal-looking New York buildings. And what's interesting about it is it kind of makes you see New York. It's not a loud building. It's not fancy by any means. It's different. And I think it allows us to see more than just like, you pass by a normal New York building, it's just whatever. So I think that's interesting. You don't see a lot of world timers like the one I designed up here. So it's a little different. It doesn't really fit the mold of a normal world timer. And the Norman Foster building is, what really interests me is the materials. That building that is shown in the slides is a carbon fiber roof, and it sits directly on the glass panes. And the electrical goes through the glass panes. It's just a marvel. It's amazing. And so not only the shape, but the design on the inside, the underneath portion, the ceiling, is very, very cool.
Thank you. And so now I want to introduce a gentleman over there. That's Jérôme Biard, and he is a CEO of Roventa Henix, which is probably the company that has the biggest effect on the watch industry that you've never heard of. It's the most famous and most storied white label company in the Swiss watch industry. Jérôme, tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Thank you, Ray. I have to say we are not used to be under the spotlight because we are in the shadow. We are in the shadow of the big brands. We help together with the team of the brands to develop and to bring from an idea a product to the reality. And we do this since 1959, so we have a long history. And we have under one roof in our office, we have a designer, we have engineers, we have constructors, prototypists, supply chain managers, watchmakers, of course, and logistics people. So we try to be really a service-oriented company helping the dreamers to get the product being as close as possible as what was the dream, being in the shelves of the different network in the world, and of course on your wrist after. So a long story. We are feeling like chameleons because we need to completely enter the DNA of every brand to understand it, to make sure we make it exactly like they would have done it. So it takes a lot of time of exchange between the teams of Roventa and our clients. And a special category of our clients, of course, we have international brands, we have jewelry brands, we have retail network. We have what we call the dreamers in a very noble way. And for me, Justin, a super example of this dreamer, which is somebody we need to understand and to make sure we are going to be able to translate exactly what he has in his sketches or what he has in his brain, to not to disappoint him, and to let him know as well that some ideas are very difficult to turn into an industrial product. And this is with our team, expert team, and our as well very strong supply chain, because we have since 65 years built with our suppliers a very close relation. If it's case, dials, movement, bracelet suppliers, we have very good way to deal with different kind of products, different kind of price ranges, and try to make the best out of it. So this is really our role.
Jerome, what was the biggest challenge you faced translating Justin's dream into a reality?
I think, you know, Justin has a very minimalist approach, which is beautiful. We have to think as well that it suits our taste. So first challenge is always to make sure that we believe this dreamer is coming with a long-term project. We are not interested in building one collection. For us, it has to be a long story. So most of our clients, they have 10, 15, 20, 25 years experience with us. And when we take a dreamer on board, we want to make sure that it's going to be a dreamer in 5 years again, and that we can build. Because we spend a lot of time with very expertise people, with very competent people, to try to explain, to exchange, and it's a lot of exchanges, and it cannot be put into a tag price. So we have to know that it's going to be a long-term love story between the clients and our company. And so the biggest challenge was this minimalism is, first of all, to see, we like the idea that everything is focused on the cities. So we had to make sure that we find the right font, the right size, the right ink, to be able to have a very readable product, which is one of the key of such a watch, to be easy to read, easy to use, easy to fix. Because a wall timer is a companion of your travel. Wei, I think, is a good example. He was yesterday in Singapore, 2 days before in München. I don't know where he's going to fly after tomorrow. So he keeps his watch on his wrist as well in the plane, and so you need to have a very comfortable watch as well. So we've been playing as well, studying all what could make the bracelet feeling very, very, very nice on the wrist. And then we had to work on this modern touch of this watch. And we were very happy to discuss together, because it's always discussions. And we came with this idea of glass sand bit blasted to give this special matte finish, looking quite similar as titanium from far away. And we thought that that matched totally the look of this watch. On top of this, as polishing is a big issue, we have been studying a very modern way to integrate the bracelet inside of the box, of the case, which allow as well to polish the lugs at the best possible way. So it's very, very smart way to deal with the requirement of the very, very clear ID of Justin.
Thank you, Jerome. Jerome, I have to say, well, good job. You know, I mean, I understand that these are 4 discs that are telling the time, not only local time, but also the 24 zones as well. It consumes a lot of power, so you have to make this as light as conceivably possible. Yet you guys also wanted to make a watch that was wearable. And today's taste, as we can tell from a recent watch launch, everyone wants things that are a little bit smaller in proportion as well, right? And this is, if I'm not mistaken, 38.5 mm in diameter and 10.5 mm in terms of thickness. You've also spec'd a very, very flat sapphire crystal, so it almost feels like you can touch the disc, which I think is great. And I have to say, the integration of the deployant of the bracelet is really good, and the deployant is effortless to use. So bravo on the quality. I think the last thing that I like about a World Time is when you change the city disc, it has to have that really nice click, you know, and it even feels good. Jerome, important to you too?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have been studying many different sizes, many different scales, and then we came to the conclusion that was the best in terms of aesthetic, but as well of use. And yes, it has to be, you know, it's a beautiful object, and we believe, like you all know, in the watch business, every detail counts very much.
Justin, I want to ask you one last question, and later we'll turn the floor over to the audience. But you know, Jerome mentioned minimalism, and I know you call your brand of design American minimalism. I know that I think you said something along the lines where that is actually a brutal process where you can no longer add or subtract anything. You're pushing yourself to get to that point, and when you get to the point, the only thing that remains is truth, and truth endures. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's really tough to kind of put yourself into a box for the first watch, you know. But I've always loved this style, and it's very rare that I've seen a watch in the luxury market come out where it's a minimalist take. It's simple. It's not simple, but it has that clarity over complexity. That's the goal with whatever I design. And so yeah, it just needed to. It took a long time to figure this out. It's fitting that this is the Horology Forum 10 because this started about 10 years ago, like 2014, 2015.
15, yes.
And yeah, I never expected I would be up here
Really?
launching it.
Fantastic.
So
How are you feeling so far?
extremely lucky, very nervous, but good.
You're doing
Feel good.
well. Excellent. So, okay, guys, as Jerome said, that he doesn't want to just make a one-off watch. He wants to look into the future and create things that endure. And this is going to be the family of watches that is produced over the course of the next year. But now, Hind, I have to ask you, so what is the process for people entering this design competition? Are we starting today? Can people start entering today? And at what point is the cutoff date? And what do they need to do to enter?
Okay, we definitely need sketches of their watches. We want to know the story behind the brand. We need a business plan, a go-to-market strategy, and a video explaining, why and what are they designing and how they've designed it. And I think we are accepting submissions from now until December 31st. And the winners, like we said, will be announced in Dubai Watch Week. But then we'll invite the finalists to Dubai to meet the judges as well.
Fantastic. So there's something interesting there in store. But before we get there, I just want to mention that, if I'm not mistaken, Hin, you want to keep the retail price of these watches around $5,000 or under,
Yes.
right? Because it's important for these new artists who see their watch become a reality to try to get into as many risks as possible.
Definitely.
I know that was your philosophy. Justin, if I'm not mistaken, your watch, the retail price of it will be 2,850 Swiss francs,
Yes.
which translated today's market rate, I hope I'm correct, at $3,315.
Yeah.
Which is pretty reasonable for a watch as complex as that. And guys, later on, you'll get to try them on. Feels great on the wrist, I have to say, right?
Wait,
So-
sorry. If I may just add something which I think is very important. The business plan is very important.
Yes.
We are lucky. We have only through our internet site, we have about an average of 5 to 10 requests of building a watch per week.
Wow.
And we have to say no to 99% of the people because we don't believe there is a future. And some of the people, they believe a nice design is enough to be a success. It's not enough. It's a minimum.
No, that's
So I
why
think the
it's
business
very
plan,
important.
you are right, to be very demanding and to make sure they understand that nobody is expecting a new watch or nobody is willing a new watch. You have to have more argumentation than just a nice design.
Absolutely correct, sir. And that brings us to the next slide, which I really like as well. So anyone can submit their design from now until the end of the year, till December 31st. Yes, Alfred, I'm looking at you. Right. And then from there, we will select finalists, and the finalists will come to Dubai, at Siddiqui headquarters. They will be sort of like tested and questioned by our judges. So we have, of course, the Mams, or I'm sorry, Mohammed Siddiqui.
Mams, yeah.
We have Hind. We have this guy in the blue suit who is not very intelligent. I'm sorry, I don't know what he's doing there. We have Jerome Biard. And then we have some truly amazing people. So we wanted to have an entrepreneur / CEO, so we got the legendary Jean-Claude Biver, which is amazing. Then we want to have a technical director because I want to have someone understand the technical feasibility of their watch. You know, what if someone says, but I want a triangular watch with a triangular movement, right. So, and because it's shaped watches, we wanted to get Carol Forestier because for many years, she created every single complicated watch at Cartier, including the legendary crash skeleton as well. We wanted to get a designer, so we got the current king of shaped watches, Sylvain Berneron. Mm-hmm. And we will have to get someone who I consider to be one of the greatest journalists on the planet. I believe her name is Ming Liu. Where is she? Oh, she's right there, from the Financial Times. How are you, Ming? Excellent, thank you. So everyone will come, the finalists will come to Siddiqui headquarters. And I don't know, do you guys know this TV show Shark Tank, right? They will be put to the test. I mean, defend your business plan, defend your strategy, explain your story, sell me this watch, right? You know, what was that, sell me this pencil? You know, like sell me this watch. And by the end of it, we will then get together. Also, our dear friend Jerome has to also say, I'm sorry, we can produce this, or we'll never be able to produce this, and then we will make our decision, and then that watch will materialize during Dubai Watch Week next year. So this is a little map with cool pictures that tells you about what you need to submit and what's being judged. So submission requirements, digital drawing, business plan, inspiration of story, video submission. You don't even have to speak. You could do an interpretive dance if you want. Then the theme is shaped watches. Very popular, not because of the Cupitus, but because we love shaped watches. Design, judging criteria, design creativity, technical innovation, business viability, and brand storytelling. And ladies and gentlemen, that gives us the Dubai Watch Week Grail Watch Design Competition. May I now open the floor to questions? Yes, Barbara Palumbo. Incidentally, may I just say you crushed the horology forums in New York.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Wei. So I'm a little curious, when you get into digital sketches, are you open to someone using AI? And if they do, are you suggesting that they make it known that they have?
I think they should. If AI is going to allow them or bring their design to reality, and they're not designers and they can even sketch by hand, they should just be able to submit a realistic vision of what they have in mind. But yes, of course, why not? If it's going to help them bring it to life, and it would really define what they want, because AI, you feed it the information and it will bring out. So if they can succeed with it, which is a bit challenging, why not?
It was very interesting. So on that subject, I was lucky enough to visit Dubai Future Labs the last time I was in Dubai, and it's crazy what they're doing. They're like, okay, we don't have any manufacturing, so now we're going to have manufacturing. But we're not going to compete at the manufacturing that everyone else has. We have to define the manufacturing of tomorrow. And they are using a lot of AI, a lot of 3D printing as well. And they decided that they would create a gear train for a watch. And every gear train that came out, once you put in the parameters, came out spherical, which was crazy, right? Which was really interesting to see. But then you have to go back to feasibility, because I'm not sure if Jerome Biard can make a spherical.
And as well, if it's 100% handmade, you know, and there are only certain shapes that the human can actually make with their hands. So it really depends on what they feed the AI and what information will come. And if it's feasible, Jerome will let us know if it's doable. I mean, the category we chose, shaped watches, should be an easy category, because we're not going into a movement per se. So there's not a lot of technical information that they need to know, but it's just more of a design element with shaped watches.
Actually, Hin, I have a question for you. Are we open to courts?
Yeah, why not? Because with this category, it's just the shaped watch. We're not looking into the movement.
Amazing. I agree. Any more questions? Robin. Incidentally, great forum.
Thank you, Wei. Thank you. Likewise. Well done, you. Will there be any consideration of sustainability in this project?
Hin Siddiqui.
Listen, it's a topic that we try to explore with discussing it with watch brands as well. It's not as easy, you know, as we think to create a fully sustainable watch brand. But maybe one day we come up with a category where we focus on sustainability. But today we did not explore this, because it's quite a challenging area.
Yeah, I agree. We haven't defined all the other categories yet, and they don't necessarily have to be defined by style of watch or by a complication. I agree with him. I think if you're going to do sustainability, then that should be the criteria for the watch, because otherwise it's how much percentage of the judgment do you apportion to sustainability otherwise. Although, and I hope that this is true, that I think the luxury watch by its very nature is one of the most ethical and sustainable objects on this planet, because unlike everything else, you don't throw it away. You know. Anyone else? Yes.
So my question is, what happens once they win the design competition?
We go to Jerome and we tell him, make the watch and make sure it's under $5,000. Yes. And then the watches will be available for sale. So we're not just creating a watch design just per se, but we're actually bringing the watch to life. And we would want to retail it. We want to have it be available for sale.
Exclusively at Siddiqui and Sons?
Well, actually, so through Siddiqui, through Grail Watch, but we're open to any retailer that wants to participate in this, you know, because the more people that want to embrace a watch, the greater the possibility that person has of actually continuing and having a viable career. So if any one of you guys want to carry Justin's watch afterwards, please give him a shout. I mean, is that cool?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Absolutely. And we will have this for sale as well tomorrow.
Yes.
At 5 o'clock. We have 100.
5 p.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
There'll be 100 watches. The first 50 will be launched.
The metals were not mentioned on the bracelet.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
stainless steel.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all stainless steel. But I've gotten a lot of comments, people saying it feels like titanium because of the glass bead blast that we used.
It's just how good Jerome is. He can transform steel into titanium.
It's really good. It's really good. Yeah, it's all stainless.
Yes, ma'am. We're looking forward to the forum tomorrow with you as well.
I've got 2 questions. So one is in terms of the business plan side of things. If you're looking at, I'm assuming it's a retail price point of roughly 5K. So the business plan, I'm assuming, needs to take that into account. So from marrying up the manufacturing and the retail side, there's a volume consideration there potentially in terms of the viability for something at that price point. I don't know whether that's kind of, I've said enough there, or whether anybody wants to elaborate on that.
If you don't mind, I would like to. So the very fact that it's a project being created by the Siddiqui family is important to me as well. Why? Because I believe in retailers, right? I believe that retailers are the greatest builders of culture in horology. Certainly the Siddiqui family, I would say. Mike from the Hourglass has done a great job as well. 20 years ago, he did Tempest. Many of us, it just came from IM Watch, and that was wonderful as well. And you know, there is, I don't want to say whether that's good or there's bad, but there's 2 ways you can go in this business, right? You can either decide that you want to do it all on your own, or that you want to partner with retailers. And if you're going to partner with retailers, and they're going to be such extraordinary champions of you, that's our preference, first of all. And I genuinely believe that. The second thing is then, therefore, that should give you a clue as to your business plan as well, right? Like when you show up there and you're like, and okay, I mean, it's simple mathematics. It's like there's no more, there's no commercial sort of benefit to a potential retailer, then you have not done your business plan properly, or you've tried to create a product and a price that's incompatible, right? Yeah. If I may say. Yeah.
Okay, so then in terms of thinking about the business plan, you would need to take into consideration things like sort of retail margin, et cetera, as a kind of ballpark.
Yes.
Obviously not specific numbers, but just have that awareness.
Yeah.
Correct.
I would say. Okay.
Correct.
And then the other question was, you were saying that movement, there's no expectation in terms of the movement side of things, but if there was the opportunity to incorporate movement innovation from a design standpoint, because that allows you more freedom and flexibility, because we're talking about shaped watches, is that something that would be okay? Basically, it's come with the idea. If the movement is part of the idea, okay, and then it will get judged based on that.
100%. It would be a big plus, actually, because innovation is a big part of what we're looking at.
Yeah.
But it also gives room to people who are not knowledgeable in watchmaking to also be able to design.
Cool.
Yeah.
Jerome, do you want to continue?
Yes, I think it might have a big influence on the lead time of the production if we start developing special movements. That we have to take into account. But as well, it's nice to have the feeling that the person is bringing as a further idea after the first idea. He came with really a line, which is absolutely the case by Justin. He has already the next watch is coming in his mind, and even on some sketches. So we like this because we know that it starts on the right base. Yeah. And then we can better judge if it makes sense or not to bring this new brand on the market.
Yeah. Yeah, and then maybe, when the brand grows, our category is asking them to design something under $5,000, but then if they succeed, then they can decide to manufacture something which is on a higher retail price.
Yeah, I think that trajectory, that capacity to really show your story and the evolution of your brand is something that we would all find super compelling. Right? Any other questions? If there are no more questions, then I would like to thank the incredible Hin Siddiqui. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerome Biard.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Jerome Biard. Thank you, Justin, as well. Guys, we're going to have all the watches here on our wrists. Constant also has a couple of them on as well. Please feel free to take them, touch them, put them on, do whatever you want with them. It's important for you guys to feel that it's a decent product as well. I certainly hope it is. Thank you all very much, and let's get ready for the cocktail party.